I think everybody still has a role. From a distributor perspective, they're going to have to partner more, whether it is partnering with each other, partnering with manufacturers, or large IDNs. They're going to have to. Third parties, they don't have a choice. We're at a crossroads right now in the American healthcare system. Do we pay for things? Do we not pay for things? What's more important, the political aspects of approving a biosimilar or treating a patient with something that's the 10th of the cost of the brand name drug? We have to make a decision right now as to which direction we really want to go.
I think there'll continue to be players. I think we need to figure out how to work together a little bit better. Right now there's a lot of barriers, and there's a lot of costs associated with all of those players in the marketplace.
They would have to ensure an appropriate stream of inventory and competitive drug prices so that we can ultimately take some time away from that to focus on patient care.
My question ties in a little bit to automation. So by utilizing the resources available from third parties who are able to meet regulatory compliance and all the other things that are needed to allow us to shift more towards a direct patient care model, that would obviously be very helpful. And as I said before, we're facing the pressure to expand clinically and contract financially. So negotiating appropriate contracts and optimizing medication management through those third-party vendors becomes absolutely essential.
I think they all have a role in the process. It's just actually sitting down and looking at in my integrated delivery network, and I'm sure everybody's aware there's been publications stating by 2020 there's going to be 120 IDNs. And most hospitals in the country are going to be affiliated or part of some IDN model. So it's important to take a look at when you're developing your enterprise, meaning everything that's involved in the integrated delivery network, where these entities can fit into the process to improve care from a safety side, from an inventory management, how do they impact controlling cost, impacting medication and patient safety. And these are all things that we need to actually sit down with these companies and sort of develop a process and how they can help us support how we take care of patients.
Yeah, if the distributors come with this technology already added onto the medications, then it'll be easier for people to get it through the system and would actually increase patient safety.
Well, unfortunately, everyone wants their hand in the pie of healthcare. They recognize that well, let me digress for a moment. There was a point in my life where I thought there'd be two sacred cows, healthcare and education. We've already seen what's happened in healthcare, and now I can tell you firsthand that some of those same dynamics are starting to take place in education and educational delivery. So I'm all for welcoming other partners into the healthcare space, provided that they're coming into that space for the right reasons, and that's to improve patient care.
They're playing an ever bigger and bigger role within the pharmacy landscape. From an inpatient perspective, we're doing a lot of outsourcing and trying to improve the utilization of our resources within house. And so if we can save money, save time, and save energy on certain processes that can be outsourced or utilized from companies who are experts in certain fields and doing certain things, that provides us more opportunity to utilize our resources in a different way on the hospital pharmacy side. Those vendors are continuing to make a big impact in healthcare. Vendors are continuing to find solutions to problems that we continue to face as health organizations. And it's a lot easier to try to utilize outside support than to try to, rearrange internal resources to try to solve problems that everybody's facing in the same aspect. So I think going forward, vendors, contractors, manufacturers, they're going to continue to play a bigger role in the healthcare landscape, and we're going to have to partner with them and utilize those resources to our benefit so that we're all making strides in the right direction from a patient care perspective.
Other industries, compounders, third-party insurers, really everybody needs to be integrated and looking at, does this provide the value to the patients, and understanding the pieces from a 50,000-foot view and how they tie back into what is that cost to the patient and what is the risk to the patient to take on some of those costs. And there's going to need to be more integration with all of the players to ensure that we're doing the right things and having those enhanced healthcare services.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I think when we begin to work with these companies, we really get to see kind of their costs for items, and then we can actually self-reflect on our organizations and see what our true cost is if we do that, and we begin to really just make better decisions for how we can add better value to the patient, and we can add value to our organizations.
I don't think their roles are going to shift much from what they do now as being a main distributor or getting, you know, drugs to the hospital. I mean, I know there's a big thing now with Amazon getting into that space, but in reality, the pharma companies can't get to every hospital, right? So you need that middle person to get the distribution out.
I mean, I think the way I envision is each of the health systems will probably have their own distribution centers at some point in time. I mean, we are looking to do that at Innova, absolutely. We have a centralized enterprise medication manager software that we currently have capability to view our inventory and do some package sharing. But we look forward to a centralized distribution center, and I think the industry is moving in that direction. So you have more control, especially during the shortages and things, so you can track and trend exactly where your medications are, how much you have on hand. The goal is to, you know, have your inventory turns maximized, keep just-in-time inventory, the days on hand as minimum as possible. So I think that's where we'll see as far as the distributors go. So I mean, of course,
I think that we could have a conversation about vertical stratification, but the reality is we have to pay more attention to our supply chain. Every week, if you look in the international news, you can see issues of pedigree-based problems. Maybe not every week, but at least every month. It's not as big a problem in the United States, though we have had real issues that have harmed people happen here in the US. And so I think understanding as leaders in pharmacy what the supply chain looks like. Realistically, if you talk to a manufacturer and you put a pharmacist in front of a manufacturer, oftentimes the two have no idea what the other does. And you can bring a third party like a distributor or a logistics provider into that as well. But the reality is we have to understand from an enterprise level what the supply chain looks like to improve our patient care process. And I think some places are doing that more than others, but it needs to become more of a standard. And honestly, in some ways, I as a practitioner look to ASHP for that.
So a truly vertically integrated process with the right tools and resources makes the most sense. And in terms of even in compounding, sterile compounding is a great example. So we've seen huge growth of compounding organizations. Unless they can have the talent to ensure the safe use of the safe product, they're not going to actually support the system. They're going to add cost to the system. So it's kind of an interesting question. And we could go on for a long time about it, but I know we only have so much time together today.